Well, hey guys, I'm Nick and welcome back to Sci-Finatics. Well, today we're going to have a chat about Season 5 of Star Trek Discovery. The sneak peek scene for the first episode of Season 5 came out a little while back, but we didn't go through it. So I'm going to have a bit of a chat through that today and then have a bit of a talk about what we might be up for in Season 5 of Discovery. We know that it's going to be a bit of a Star Trek meets Indiana Jones kind of style adventure where there's like a MacGuffin and all the galaxy is hunting for this MacGuffin. There have been plenty of MacGuffins in cinema history, from the loot under the Big W in It's a Mad, 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 Mad World, or the Ark of the Covenant, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Private Ryan, Saving Private Ryan, the One Ring in Lord of the Rings, Death Star plans in Star Wars and Rogue One. We've always had MacGuffins in cinema history. They've always been pretty entertaining rides where you've got everybody going on a big mission. There's competition involved. Everyone's trying to get there first. We're going to have a look through the sneak peek scene from Season 5, Episode 1, and just have a bit of a chat about what we might be in for our adventure that's going to be making up the plot for Season 5 of the show. But before we get into the sneak peek scene and have a chat about that, here's a very, very quick sponsored message. As a keen gamer, I love entering new worlds and challenging myself to win, so I'm thrilled to bring you the latest on a mobile and desktop game you might have heard about, Raid Shadow Legends. Raid has so much for players to explore. For starters, there's over 700 powerful, unique champions to collect, all with their own skills and distinctive abilities. Raid also comes with 15 awesome factions from lizard men, orcs, dwarves, undead, and elves, you name it. There's a massive array to choose from and something cool for every type of player. Raid also includes 12 imposing dungeons to conquer, each one with a brutal boss to defeat, and you will need every bit of your tactical skills to get there. Raid also has really engaging player versus player combat. There's classic, tag, team, the newly added live arena to immerse yourself in, prove your abilities, and rise up through the ranks to become the strongest summoner. And on top of all that, Raid has regular content updates, so it's constantly evolving with new modes, features, and quality of life updates, and keeping the player experience fresh and exciting. You might be wondering about latest updates. Until October 7, new players can grab Stag Knight, one of the best epic champions around, and a Stag Knight skin designed by Jontron just by using the promo code JTSkin. And if you're like, hey, I'm not a new player, but I want that skin too, no problem. Grab the Stag Knight skin through an in-game event. And for the additional free legendary champion, Sun Wukong, log into Raid on 7 different days between August 22nd and October 23rd to get your hands on this champion. So get ready to dive into your next action-packed Raid adventure where endless fun awaits. If you're a new player, claim your free starter pack loaded with awesome in-game loot by using my exclusive link or simply scanning the QR code on screen. So be sure to hit my link in the description and have fun on the battlefield.
Let's talk!
Fine. You want to talk? We'll talk. Let us go, and no one gets scuttered.
Well, here we see for the first time our antagonist characters for the new season, this sort of Bonnie and Clyde couple called Mole and Lark. They're hunting the treasure down, I guess, as well as other people. Whatever the MacGuffin is in Season 5, if I had to place a guess on it, I would say it's obviously some sort of device of extreme power that could probably potentially be used for either good or evil. You know, much like, I guess, nuclear power can be used to create a power plant to power everyone's homes and everything relatively safely, or it can be used in a nuclear bomb. So I'm guessing it's maybe going to be something along these lines. Some sort of ancient device that can be put to great good or used for great sort of nefarious means.
Hand it over first. This doesn't have to end badly for you.
It won't.
So it looks like this couple is situated behind some sort of personal force field because he throws the device through what appears to be some sort of force field. And then it basically seems like this bomb creates a portal or a void or whatever in the hull of the ship, which Burnham then falls through. So it's a pretty tricky grenade or whatever this thing is that can just create like a phasing portal to drop through. And it's a good thing that she's got her EV suit on. Otherwise, she'd be floating through the vacuum of space without any oxygen. So a bit of a tricky maneuver there by these guys. Obviously, they've got a bag of tricks at their disposal, this being one of them, this device, which kind of appears like a sort of octagonal or hexagonal box of some kind. So whether there's whatever they're hunting for is inside this box, or whether this box that she's got there under her arm is some sort of key or code thing which unlocks the location of where they can find it.
A bit like the headpiece to the staff of Ra in Raiders of the Lost Ark.
I think they're going to need Space Indiana Jones to uncover some of the riddles and puzzles that are going to be involved in tracking down this season's MacGuffin. Next, we see Burnham using her EV suit to navigate her way through this debris field and make her way onto what appears to be the hull of their cloaked ship. They've got the ship cloaked there within the debris field. They've obviously got this device in their possession, and Burnham's navigating over to the hull of their ship in order to try to, get this artifact back from Mole and Lark. The next little sequence that follows kind of strikes me as a little bit scientifically questionable, and we'll take a look at that and you'll see what I mean.
Activate suit magnetization.
Okay, for starters, it looks like a pretty exciting sequence. Burnham, magnetised to the hull of their ship. The ship's gone to warp and she's trying to take out their engines. My initial thought was that if you were in an EV suit on the hull of a starship when it went to warp, you would end up like a bug splattered on a windscreen of a car. It kind of seems like, is that scientifically feasible? Because I would have automatically made the assumption that you wouldn't be able to survive that. If you're on the hull, the ship goes to warp, you'd just be splattered across the hull.
Wow! Never a dull moment.
Captain, are you all right?
Surprisingly, I'm not dead yet. Focus on our team. I'll try to take out their engines. So you can come pick me up and we can get back whatever was in that vault.
So the fact that Burnham's magnetised boots are able to hang on to the hull of this ship while it goes to warp, and she's obviously on the outside of the ship. I don't know whether the inertial dampeners on a starship extend to beyond the hull of the ship. They protect the interior of the ship and the passengers and so forth who are travelling on that starship. But would they have any effect on something that was attached to the outside of the starship's hull? So that kind of seemed a little bit scientifically questionable to me. I'd be interested to see what you guys think about whether you could survive a starship going to warp whilst attached to the outer hull.
Whoever you are up there, identify yourself.
This is Captain Rayner of the USS Atari. I see you started without me.
But we needed some excitement. Thank you for the assist.
How close are you to taking out their engines?
I just need a few minutes.
Well, we're not letting them go.
Here we also hear the voice of Captain Rayner. He's played by Callum Keith Rennie, who you guys would know most notably from Battlestar Galactica. He's playing this new captain that essentially seems to have a bit of a relationship with these Bonnie and Clyde couple, Mole and Lark. He's had some dealings with them before, and he seems like a bit of a dog with the bone in terms of he's got to capture them. Maybe they've escaped his custody a couple of times before, or he's had a few run-ins with them, but he seems to have a bit of a history with this Bonnie and Clyde type couple, and he doesn't want to back off.
The warp bubble's collapsing, Captain. Your ship can be torn apart. You have to release your tractor beam.
I'm not letting them go, Captain.
Then reverse engines and pull them out of warp.
If I had a pathway drive, maybe, but we're still making do with burn tech out here.
I get the impression there's going to be a fair bit of headbutting between Burnham and Rayner in this season. She's obviously got her way of doing things, which is sort of essentially Burnham's way or the highway, and obviously Rayner's probably got his way of doing things too, and these guys are clearly going to be butting heads in terms of how they achieve their ultimate mission. We hear Rayner talk about different drives, pathway drive, and they're still using burn tech and so forth. I would have thought after the end of season 3 and let's face it, the child that made all the dilithium explode in the galaxy, they would have been busy refining dilithium and mining new sources and handing it out to Starfleet and everything. So you would think they would starting to be getting past all of that burn nonsense or whatever in terms of starship travel and everything these days, but it seems to still be hanging around.
Mr. Saru!
We are on our way to get you, Captain.
Commander Zawoshkin and Reese are being examined in sickbay. Commander Detmer, take us in as close as you can.
Aye, Mr. Saru.
Lieutenant Gallo, prepare to beam the captain to safety the moment she is free of the warp bubble.
Aye, Mr. Saru.
We seem to have a few new faces on the bridge of Discovery, whether they're just there for this episode or whether they're there for the season. Discovery has always had a massive problem with character identification. The bridge crew on the Discovery has always been so underdeveloped 5 seasons on, we still barely know the characters at all. Like, we know the characters in Strange New Worlds after 1 or 2 seasons, way more than we know any of the bridge crew in Discovery, and we're bringing in extra members here that are given names and everything. It sort of leads me to believe, how about we just get to know the people who have been on this show for the last 4 or 5 seasons. Too many characters and too little screen time to get to know them all in this show. And it's also good to see Saru in the captain's chair again. Obviously, Saru was, the captain during season 3. I think the Discovery was at its best when they had the Saru captain and Burnham first officer dynamic. I think the dynamic they've got going on now, where both Saru and Burnham hold the rank of captain, but Saru kind of fulfills the sort of first officer's role despite his rank. It's a bit of a muddy situation because obviously Burnham likes to play it pretty fast and loose with the rules. Always leads you to think, have they really got the right person in charge here, But at least, I guess, Saru can keep Burnham on her toes a bit more, and, because they hold the same rank, if she does get a little bit out of line, I'm sure he can bring her back in.
Lieutenant Naya, report.
Structural integrity is holding, Mr. Saru.
Dr. Kovich, perhaps you would be more comfortable in the ready room?
We've obviously got Dr. Kovich back again this season. He's always a bit of a, secretive kind of guy, this one. You never quite know whether he's, part of Section 31 or he's just a little bit cryptic or whatever, but he always is an interesting character, I think.
I'll be perfectly comfortable when you've completed your mission.
As you wish.
I would rather not die out here. I've got a saxophone lesson to get to.
My engineering team's on it. We'll figure it out in time.
Raynor, come on! Just let them go!
I've dealt with these 2 before. If they get away, we won't track them down anytime soon.
It definitely seems like both Raynor and Burnham both like to get their own way. They both want to do it their way, and nobody's willing to back down and, defer to the other one particularly here. I think a character trait we know well from Burnham. It'll be interesting to see how Raynor's captaincy style is going to work opposite hers, and whether they're going to have to work together quite a bit this season to get their mission complete. So that definitely seems like it could be a pretty big source of conflict.
Captain Raynor! If the ship gets ripped apart when the warp bubble collapses, then the Antares would be destroyed too!
That's why they're pushing this. They're counting on me backing off. Get out, get safe, I've got this.
No, you don't! You made this personal!
Burnham just wants to get her own way. It's like, come on, there's clearly more than one way to skin a cat, proverbially speaking.
Every mission's personal. It's called doing my job. And don't preach at me. I've heard plenty of stories about you.
The banter between these two has played out quite a bit on the hull of this ship. I want to do it my way. I want to do it my way. It seems just like nobody is willing to back down, and everybody wants to get their own way.
Captain, you must exit the bubble for us to get a lock on you.
Let them go, Raynor! We can track their warp signature! Let them go!
Surely there's a happy medium here somewhere that everybody can agree on. Maybe it's time for Raynor and Burnham to just step down and let Saru. I think Saru has a much cooler head and on his shoulders, and can deal with things quite analytically, logically, and not get emotional and not get all huffy and puffy. He just does his job and does it well.
You and your crew are out of options! Come on!
Damn it. Releasing tractor beam.
So again, scientifically speaking, I'm not sure how this works with Burnham coming up through the warp bubble of the ship and going from essentially light speed, dropping back into sublight speed just in an EV suit in space. It kind of, again, feels to me like if you're flying at the speed of light and then all of a sudden you drop out of that, there's a little bit of dubious science in this scene here in terms of whether you would end up just completely splattered, a splattered ball of goo in space from going from such extreme speeds to such, slow speeds. But I guess we're expected to suspend our disbelief a little bit here just for the sake of an exciting sequence.
We're locking on to you now, Captain.
I'm guessing that all the little things that the starship shot out right before it went to warp were essentially like little transponder beacons that all went to warp in different directions, all containing the same transponder signature as their starship to essentially mask their trajectory so that they can't be followed. Which I guess when you think about it is a pretty sneaky tactic. Not being able to trace the warp trail is a pretty required piece of technology if you're a kind of a couple who's a thief and they are constantly stealing things and they're always in pursuit by the authorities. You need to be able to escape and not be followed. So this seems like a pretty smart piece of tech that they've got on board their starship, if that is in fact the case. Geez, it's good that Burnham was able to beam out of space and onto the bridge very quickly there. Otherwise, she would have been splattered on the windscreen of the Discovery. I kind of forget sometimes, you know, the differences in technology between the 31st century era of Star Trek and the other eras of Star Trek. Oh, that's right. They're able to do this instantaneous beaming thing they've got with their communicators and whatnot, personal beaming units, as well as all this sort of other tech is built into not just being communicators as well. So I think it looks like that this season of the show is going to be an interesting one. I like the fact that it's going to be a sort of a MacGuffin, chase for a MacGuffin sort of style adventure. I think that's going to make it a pretty interesting season. I'm a little worried about the additional cast members we've got on. Just as I said before, I would have liked to get to know the existing cast members a little better, considering we know that season 5 is the very final season of Discovery. Getting to know, you know, Detmer and Oo and Nilsson and, you know, Linus and so forth, you know, would be preferable to starting to introduce new characters this far into the show. Let's give the bridge crew that we've got a bit more of a time in the sun, I think, before the show finishes. Discovery season 5 is looking to air early in 2024. We haven't got an exact air date yet, but based on past Star Trek series, I would probably place it around maybe early February. I think that's kind of around where Picard started this year. We don't tend to have Star Trek playing out in January too much. I think there have been maybe a season of Picard that started right at the end of January. The last week of January perhaps was when they started a season previously. But if I had to put my money on it, I would probably say February would be the most likely start date for Disco season 5. So guys, let me know your thoughts about this season of the show. Are you looking forward to season 5? We know it's going to be the last season of the show. It looks like it's going to be an interesting adventure, but you might think otherwise. Let me know your thoughts. Leave a comment in the comment section and we'll get chatting about that. As always, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Click on that big subscribe button to stay current and update with all the latest Star Trek news on YouTube. Don't forget to check out my merch in the merch store. Heaps of cool t-shirts, hoodies, mugs, caps, stickers, you name it. All great sci-fi and Star Trek themed merch, and it helps support the channel as well. So I really appreciate your help there. And I'll be back very soon with my next video. I'll see you guys soon.